Good thoughts echoed there. So let's talk a little bit about Tua Tagovailoa.
You got it.
Yeah, we said it. No, let's go back. Tell me how impressive this win was for Alabama, CC.
It's very impressive. It's totally unconventional because what Alabama has done, they athlete you to death. They have more five-star athletes on their roster than any other roster in college football. They have more depth. Not only depth at their skilled positions. We saw the depth at quarterback that they have.
Yeah.
But, man, their offense and defensive linemen. They lost their starting left tackle. I mean, who else in college football? I mean, we go over this in pro football all the time. Left tackle's gone, the offense is going to change. They put another guy in there, and they don't miss a beat. They put a freshman quarterback. This is what you call at the power conferences when teams have a dynasty or teams they dominate college football. You get over-recruited. So Hurts, as a quarterback, he struggles. He's taking them to a national championship. Nick Saban at halftime goes to the true freshman, and they're getting better results because he's a better passer. What a gutsy move by Nick Saban. And to me, this will add to his legacy because he did it on an offensive standpoint. Nick has been so stubborn. I formation, run the football. He is adverse risk. That means he's not going to run an offense that has a lot of chances of turning the football over. That's why I thought it was a great marriage between him and Lane Kiffin. Lane's creativity, but Nick and the defense and the special teams, a winning formula. But he allowed the freshman, to throw the football like I haven't seen him let veteran quarterbacks throw the football. McElroy, A.J. McCarron, he didn't even let them throw the football the way he let this young kid throw the ball, and I was impressed with that.
And it was almost out of necessity. I don't know that they wanted to, but they couldn't. Georgia has the athletes up front. Even with Bo Scarborough and that great stable of running backs, they weren't having the success. He didn't want to change quarterbacks. He didn't want to all of a sudden chuck the ball around. But he had no choice.
But as long as he's been coaching, this is not something that Nick Saban does.
Correct.
And for him in that moment to be able to realize our best chance or path to victory is through Tua and throwing the football, I was surprised and shocked by that.
It's remarkable, and it's a testament to the fact that Alabama's second team, the guys that don't start for Alabama, people say, could Alabama beat Cleveland, the Browns? No. But Alabama's second team could be a top 15 team in the country. Take the 22 best guys that don't start for Alabama and see what their recruiting profile is. The young man that had the bit of a meltdown on the sideline, I read about him last night because I wanted to know. I was surprised that Nick Saban let him go back into the game. He had the 15-yard penalty when he threw a punch. I was surprised he didn't get thrown out. He seemed to go after a coach. So I was like, who is this young man? Oh, he was a top 200 player in the country, a top 20 player in his state, a 4-star recruit who has 5 tackles on the year because he can't get on the field in his 3rd year at Alabama. He would be the star recruit for most teams' classes, a 4-star top 20 kid from the state of Georgia. He can't get on the field. The Tua Tagovailoa was, according to 24/7, and I'm not super in-depth on the recruiting stuff, so I rely on the people who are rivals, 24/7 people like that. He's the #1 dual-threat quarterback in the country. Coming out of Hawaii, doesn't go to Oregon, doesn't go to USC, like so many of the Hawaiian kids
And he decided, and one of the things with him, he decided to go to a school that had a freshman. It looks like Jalen Hurts is going to start for 4 years at Alabama. He's a dual-threat quarterback. He's already started. He took him to a national championship as a freshman.
SEC Offensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, but Tua decides, I'm going to go there. I'm going to go to Alabama from Hawaii.
Is that a testament to Nick Saban or to the program?
Both of them. It's a testament to all three, the young man. The young man, for the culture to be able to change, to leave Hawaii and move to Alabama, to know that that's the best thing for his academics and for his football career, to be able to sit in the football laboratory of Nick Saban. That's a mature kid. His family, to be able to have the guidance to give him that. Alabama, to be able to stretch that wide, to get a kid through the Pac-12 that they not missed on, but they won over. And the institution, that they could be like, man, this kid would feel at home. So, it's a trifecta there, Jenna, as far as the winners.
And a kid who was asked not to be good during the regular season, not to be good in a semifinal game, not to be good to start the game. Hey, you need to be good to save this game to save this season and to win us a title.
And it's not like he didn't have adversity to overcome for the fact that they're down 13-0.
Right.
The play he threw an interception on was a called run that he misunderstood the play call. He misunderstood the play call from the sideline because he's so new, because he hasn't been doing it. So the coaches think they're calling a run. He tells his teammates we're throwing a pass, and he throws a terrible interception. And he overcomes that. In the overtime, the one thing you can't do, college football's overtime is weird. It's almost a given that you're going to get a field goal. Now, with Alabama's field goal kickers, nothing is a given. So certainly after Georgia kicks that field goal, Rodrigo Blankenship, one of the best college kickers I've seen in recent memory.
This guy.
I love him. He nails the 51-yarder.
Get you a pair of those goggles.
I love it. The specs. You know, all right, we really need 6. But if we're gonna kick a field goal, we need to be as close as possible. Just the one thing you can't do: takes a big sack on the first play, and how does he
looks
respond?
like a green freshman.
Yeah.
But the next play, he looked like he could be playing in the NFL. You're talking about a cover 2. They went trips, which means 3 receivers to the wide side of the field, single receiver on the backside. The safety, which is a veteran, started 53 games for Georgia. He looks him off to the middle of the field. He's in cover 2. He's supposed to be on the hash mark. The corner doesn't get a jam on him. Tua looks him off like a veteran after giving a rookie mistake and getting sacked and throws a strike. I mean, when you see his arm talent, you see why you don't follow high school. But I got some good friends of mine, Trent Dilford and Joey Roberts. They helped run Elite 11. And Trent Dilford says that this kid has the it factor. And he would be a star and had predicted that he would win a Heisman Trophy.
And what does it say about Alabama that the day after they win, now you're like, oh, what's next? Well, what's next is that a true freshman could pretty much be your star, so you're set up for the next couple of years. I do have to say, and he was gracious. After Alabama scored their first touchdown, the first player to meet Tua on the field was Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts was gracious in his interview after the game. And I know, CC, this is maybe the athlete, non-athlete dichotomy here. I felt for Jalen. I know he's a champion now, but he now has to figure out, is my entire life being uprooted? Like, do I want to stay here and compete? Do I want to go somewhere else where I can play more likely? Like,
at Alabama, they compete. The reason why they won that national championship, because we can bring in another kid, a 5 or 4-star, and Nick Saban's going to give him every opportunity to get better. That's what Alabama's about. It's about competition, and the competition is what got them the national championship, with the coach having the guts to bench a guy who's 25-2 as a starter at Alabama.
Well, listen, they weren't down 24-0. They were down 13-0. And I don't know that there's another coach in the country that would have the confidence, not just job security. A lot of coaches have a supreme job security. Right. But the confidence with his place with his team, his place in history.
Or have the roster of talent.
Correct. The confidence to do it and the ability to do it.
There's only one guy.
It's
That's
just
Urban
him.
Meyer.
Oh, okay, so Urban Meyer and Nick Saban.
Yeah, and because he's got some talented guys up under him who can really throw the ball.
Jalen Hurts isn't going anywhere?
I mean, where's he going to go? He's already played 2 years of college football. He had to sit out a year, all right? He's not a pro. Right. He's a college quarterback. No, sit there right at Alabama. You came to Alabama to compete. Let's keep competing. He's upped the stakes and the standards. We know from an economic standpoint, college programs are more successful now than at any point in college football history. The amount of resources that are available, not only for facilities, that are available for coaches' staffs to be paid. So the economics of football have changed in this era. I like people to be great. I like people to be challenged. And it's not Nick Saban's fault, because all the colleges are playing by the same set of rules. Now, the Big Five conferences, that being the Big Ten, ACC, SEC, Big 12, and Pac-12, they have tremendous advantages. But inside of those 5 conferences, it's a free-for-all. The best team, the best program, the best coach, who can recruit the best, because the facilities have pretty much flattened out where there's no huge discrepancy. So he's dominated in where there's more of a level playing field. So I like to see people that can be great. As far as dominance, I'm not for dominance or against dominance. I'm about seeing what's best. And during my lifetime, this is a rare opportunity where I have seen Nick Saban and Alabama dominate college football, and I think it's good for the sport.
I respect the hell out of it. I understand the difficulty of it. I understand that his success is well-deserved. I don't like it. And Joel Klatt was just on, people were watching, he's like, oh, you must not have liked Urban Meyer's Florida team. Man, that was a few years. The different college basketball programs that have had runs like, oh, Coach K at Duke. Man, yeah, there was the run with Christian Laettner that we can tie to Laettner. With Urban Meyer's thing, we can tie it to Tim Tebow. Pick different stretches of dominance. I've always been able to tie it to a player, except for in an older era of college sports, like Wooden's UCLA Bruins or Bear Bryant's teams. But in the modern era, every stretch of extended dominance like this, pro or college sports, you've been able to tie to a player.
Doesn't that make what he's doing so much more impressive, that he can't tie it to a player, that it's the system that he built and he put in place?
Sure, but you don't like everything you're impressed by. I can be impressed by it. I can respect it. I can say, oh my gosh, you are maybe the greatest coach in sports history. Forget college football, forget sports history. He's on the short list. I can believe all that and still believe college football to me would be more interesting if Georgia had won yesterday. I'm glad Clemson won when they did.
Why would it be more interesting? Because the team that's dominated college football the last 10 years, they were able to have an epic comeback, and their players performed better under pressure. Like, why was it better for Georgia?
It was actually a better story what Alabama did, especially with that quarterback.
In a vacuum, it might have been a better story because of the freshman quarterback coming in off the bench. But what I know is this. Like, who was the star player?
3 weeks ago, Nick, you had this question, is Clemson the dominant program in college football? You argue with me, Clemson's the dominant program in college football.
No.
And I was like, Nick, no, they're not.
Hold on a second. The question was, if Clemson beats Alabama, do they replace Alabama as the preeminent program in college football?
And what did I tell you?
No, they also didn't win the game. So I wasn't arguing it without them winning the game, to be fair. It was the question.
So, but you like Clemson's uprising the last few years with Dabo Swinney.
Absolutely, because they beat Bama, because someone beat them. And if they beat them, if Clemson, by the way, it went on, if Clemson after this year wins 5 of the next 7, and the only thing we remember is Dabo Swinney, then I wouldn't feel the same way.
The one thing, Nick, is professional sports and amateurism, they're 2 separate entities. Mm-hmm. Professionalism is about the individual art and the talent of that individual. So, yes, it's going to be more individual-based. Amateurism, outside of golf, it's about a coach or a team. That's what being an amateur and being on a team is about. So trying to put his dynasty in college football against what you like in pro sports, like, there's no way college will ever be able to live up to what pro sports, because we get attached to the names once they leave the colleges.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.